Welcome, everybody, to Pro Mindset Podcast. This is your host, Craig Domann. Today on our show, we have a gentleman by the name of Steve Ramona. Ramona. God, Steve, you know I'd mess that up. Ramona.
That's all right.
But hey, Steve is a unique man from the standpoint that he's the host of his own podcast. He has a newsletter, but most importantly, he's the host of a mastermind and referral place for millionaires and billionaires. And the title of his podcast is called Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Steve, even though I botched your name, welcome to Pro Mindset today.
Thank you. I'm excited to be on.
Okay, let's get right at it. Share with us what this mastermind is. Anytime people interact with millionaires and billionaires, that people's ears perk up. What is
Our first mission is to get the best thought leaders, experts in their field to change the world. To do that, you need to get everybody's network and utilize everybody's network to get the message out. So we build events virtually and in person. We network with them, and then we mastermind and educate them how to grow their business, but more importantly, to do events. Events are a powerhouse for millionaires and billionaires because they want, especially philanthropic mindset, they want to get out and talk to the world and help them. And a servant's heart, my podcast, is a great fit. When you've made a lot of money, what's your next thing? Let's support and serve others. And that's what we teach, educate, and work together as a community of very successful people, again, to try to change the world.
Okay, Steve, so let's look at game tape here, being a football guy. Let's look at it. Let's review a Super Bowl. The biggest Super Bowl you've had in terms of helping the very elite, successful people make the biggest impact on the community and on the world. Give an example of what that looked like.
Well, we're actually working on a project right now with a direct mail company to help nonprofits to their bottom line to go and do good in the world. And it's a powerful way to get all their networks together and high quality networks of other millionaires that want to come in and work, and using the platform of the nonprofit's database to give free offers to their donors. And it's pictures, it's personal pictures tied to an advertisement. So it's a direct mail platform. And we've got some numbers coming that are going to be incredible. I can't announce them yet. We've only been around about a year and a half, the company. But that's one way. The other way is we're building an event in Costa Rica. We've already sold 60% of the tickets by going out, doing live events we call pop-ups. But it gives an opportunity to people come in to build their business, because our whole world's tied to business, small, medium-sized business. If they all grow, we're going to change the world. And that's one of our missions in our platform to do. There's other missions coming, philanthropic things that we're working on right now that we're not ready to announce, but these are some of the things that we're working on.
Okay, so I'm going to bounce around on you.
Yeah.
So let's go back to your podcast, Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. What is the mission behind your podcast?
Teach people serving before selling. That's a message that has to go across the board through the world. We're a fair world. We're a FOMO world. People are fearful. I need money today, Steve. I need money today. And my mission and my message is bring value to everybody you meet. Be a servant's heart. Don't worry about the outcome. It will come. The how, when, and where that value, that income, that abundance that you're going to get, you're just not going to know. But know when you take care of people, it'll happen. And here's a quick, great story. It just happened Saturday. We had a restaurant. And I'm big on when a waiter's really good to bring their manager over. So manager comes over, a little worried, like, oh, what's happened? I said, this guy's the greatest. If I had a restaurant, I'd hire him. He did this, this, and this. She was so blown away. So she sat with us, talked to us for 10 minutes. And she goes, I work at the 49er Levi Stadium. If you ever come by, I'm a bartender, come by, I'll get you a free drink. I'll take care. I really appreciate you. I brought value to her because of the gift. I call these Christmas gifts. Do you remember as a 6-year-old, I'm bouncing around myself. When you're 6 years old, you get up early, so you ever get up to run to that tree, open your Christmas gift. But what's the cool thing when we forget? My brother has brought me a gift as well. My mom has brought me a gift. So the gifts are exchanged, a gift exchange. That's what Servant Heart does. They bring value to somebody, and the value comes back in some way we don't know. Just having faith to be able to give that servant mindset to people.
Let's pretend that a salesperson's listening. What do they focus on besides just getting the sale so they can make the commission? What should a business person be? It could be in insurance, it could be in pharmaceuticals, it could be in it could be car salesmen, it could be anybody. How do they provide a service to their customer or provide value to their customer and not focus on the sale?
Great question, Craig. Build relationships without transactional. Be transformational, not transactional. Shut up and listen. Just shut up. How many Zoom calls have we gone on? The screens go black. Are those people really listening to whoever's talking? Probably not. So shut up and that bridge to listen to see how you can bring value. Multiple times I'm on calls. People are like, this is one of the best calls I've been on. All I did, and anybody could do this, is, hey, here's an introduction to Craig. Hey, here's a tip for your podcast. Hey, here's a little software that I found I think might work with you. Check it out. Every time you bring value, that energy level changes. And most importantly, your universe changes.
So the only way that you can shut up is if you ask questions. So what are some of the questions you can ask to get the prospect to speak?
Introverts ask me this all the time because that's their biggest problem. They want to shut up. So you got to start the whole process with a question. How long have you been doing your business? What are you passionate about your business? What are your challenges with your business? Those are 3 sample questions. And here's a suggestion for anybody that doesn't know how to ask questions. Have them written right on your monitor or have them on your desk and just look down and just read the questions. One question could lead to multiple conversations, and that 30 minutes can fly right by. And then you're going to know if they're a fit for you or if you can help them, support them. And then you move on, whether it's a handshake, let's work together, or not, but you still bring value. And that's the key. Bring value to anybody. Even if you can't help them or they can't help you, you've got to be valuable to them. Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, Chapter 4. When I read The Law of Increase, it completely changed my life.
Well, one of the things that comes to my mind, Steve, is the idea until you understand what they're trying to accomplish, you really don't know if the product or service you have is something they need. And the last thing you want to do is sell them something they don't really need.
Yeah. It's exactly, couldn't say any better myself. Here's the power of doing this value thing. I get 3 to 10 referrals a day. My calendar's booked through the end of September, and it could be into October already because I've brought so much value to somebody. They're going to meet somebody else, go, hey, you got to meet Steve Ramona. He's a super connector. He's a guy that will help you. He's a guy that will give you those gifts. And I had people come pitch me and, of course, have to handle that with care and love. The other part of the servant's heart that people lose sight of is it's okay to say no. No, you're not a fit for my business or for my circle, whatever it may be, because you're not serving them when they're there not getting anything. They're not getting anything because it's not serving them. It's a lose-lose. To say no is really being a servant's heart. We've got to remember that.
Off the top of your head, what is one of the professions that everybody thinks of as not being a servant, but the most successful ones?
Realtors.
Realtors?
Realtors, real estate. FOMO, fear. Here in California, I'm in Northern California, Craig. For every home that goes up, the stats are 15,000 realtors could sell that home. Ton of competition. So the realtors I've worked with build relationships. And when they're successful, we'll build those relationships. Hey, you know what? I'm not a fit for you, but if you know somebody, I'd love to sell their home or buy their home. What happens is they've left so much value, they're always remembered. Man, I met this guy, Joe. What a great realtor. I didn't use him, but his resources were incredible. Your IP, intellectual property, should be given away for free. Let's use a realtor. If you've got some things that are great, give it to that potential prospect you're not working with. Maybe it's a great landscaper they need for their home to sell it. Maybe it's a tip on when they do their work. Whatever that may be, never worry about giving that IP away because it always comes back somehow, some way. We just don't know how or where or when.
No, I like that. I like that. You don't gain anything by holding on to your intellectual property.
And they're not going to steal it. And if they do, karma will get them. I mean, let's get really granular. It rarely happens, but somebody might take on your course or whatever and try to do it themselves. They need to go back to the expert. Hey, I've got a question here. Always happens. I have a lot of businesses and entrepreneurs I mentor, and they come back to me and go, "You're so right. I gave them all this information, but they came back and hired me 2 or 3 months later because they couldn't figure it out."
Well, you can, that's the game of they know what to do. They just don't know how to do it.
Yep. That's exactly it.
I mean, it doesn't matter really what it is. You can give it to them, but if they don't know how to use it, it doesn't work.
And it works across the board. I love that you said, Craig, industries. You're in the NFL as an agent. I do everybody across the board should be a servant's heart. I don't care what you do. If you're a plumber or Jeff Bezos at Amazon, he must have served somebody to build that. Elon Musk, Warren Buffett, we go across the board. Mark Cuban, I know, serves people. I've read stories where he served people. Now, we hear stories about all these guys, and maybe they've done bad things. That's not where I'm going. Is they got somewhere by bringing value to somebody.
Yeah. I mean, every successful business did what you're talking about at some point in time. And unfortunately, sometimes when businesses grow, they forget how they got to where they're at.
Yep. And I've got a great story. 2022, I met a gentleman. I believe his name was Tony. I always forget his name, but we met on a one-on-one, started learning about him, asking questions. He had done $250 million in income. And I said, wow, that's impressive. How'd you do it? Serving. Okay, tell me more. This is great. He goes, I woke up in the morning. Who can I bring value and serve today? An employee, a competitor, which he called a collaborator, my board, my partners. I'm always thinking of ways of bringing value. And that's, again, he said, letting go some employees that, just wasn't a fit. And when he listened to my story, because I did $25 million in deals over the last 11 years, but I didn't ask. So I didn't make any money really off it. And not that I was doing it for that, but I bring value by bringing partnerships together. And he said, Steve, when you bring value and people come back to you and go, hey, how can I support you? I'd go, hey, I'm good. Enjoy those introductions. You need any more, let me know. He says one thing that really stuck with me, Craig. You just turn those people into takers. And the universe does not like that. And I had to take a little bit of 5 minutes to wrap my head around that. I realized, because I've given them gifts like Christmas, like I mentioned before. Well, they want to give me a gift back because they're so excited and so pumped up and energized. When I say no, it's like subconsciously I've changed the game. Now when I ask, last year's been my best year ever in 63 years because I asked.
What is your primary line of business?
It's the podcast leads to my super connector. I build partnerships and joint ventures. I meet people, I bring them together, and they pay me a piece, or I partner up with them, and we make money with whatever project, whether philanthropic or for-profit, that we do.
So your assets are your people, your connections.
Correct. And I love you said that, Craig, because one of my things when I keynote speak, we're all in the people asset business. You need great athletes. They're going to make the NFL, get them there. I need people for my mastermind. Hey, you could be a maid, but that maid needs people, needs good cleaners, needs a good CFO, needs a good CPA. We are in the people asset business. Assets go up and down in financial. It's the same thing with people. If you don't have good people, good assets in your business, you're not going to succeed. How do you do that? By building your network. Your network is your net worth. If you have one person in your network, Craig, how big are you going to grow? If you have thousands like I do, you're going to grow faster and bigger. You're going to have more abundance. So, and how do we go back to, like you said, shut up, listen, and ask those questions. Get to know people and be authentic, which is, I shouldn't have to say, but you need to say it in these worlds because not a lot of people are authentic.
Okay, Steve, so you mentioned that you do keynote speaking. What is your theme? What is your title? And what is your framework of your keynote?
Yeah,
what is like the keynote you just...
Yeah, I have multiple. Transformational, not transactional. Serving before selling. ABS, always be serving your ads. You're in the athletes. And I used to own health clubs, so I know NFL athletes, and like you do, what are they doing all the time? They're training. Like right now, before the camp, they're training. Well, use your abs. You'll always be serving abs. Work on those. Bring value. Some other things are ABL, always be learning. Bring value to every person you meet. Again, law of increase that I mentioned. But the key is it's a mindset like gratitude, and you have to practice it. But the other great point and the great part of all this, anybody can do it. And again, I'll go back to what you said. Anybody can ask a question. That's not something that, again, I'll go back to the NFL, Patrick Mahomes. He's the elite of the elite. We're never going to get there. I'm too old. You're too young, too handsome, Craig. We're just not going to be Patrick Mahomes. And that's okay. But you can be a servant. You can serve people. And there's so many ways to do it. The other theme I talk about is entrepreneurs will call me, reach out to me, or talk to me and go, I'm broke. Steve, I need money. Well, how do I serve? Go to a homeless shelter. Feed the homeless. Go call your best friend you haven't talked to in 6 months. Reach out to some people in your network and see how they're doing, see how you can support them. There are so many ways that you could do it. And then with that, a tip I give all my mentors is, you need money? Here's a great way to do it with service. Go through your whole network. Let's say it's 100 people. Reach out to the people that have a product or service that you like. And you could be using it or not, but you really enjoy the service. And go, hey, Tony, you've got an incredible CRM. I've been using it for a year. I love it. Do you have an affiliate program? Man, yes, Steve, I do. Well, let's get set up. And all you do is for an hour or two a week, go through your network, or as you meet new people, you mention, somebody might say, man, I have trouble keeping my schedule. I have trouble with my network following up. Well, Jim, I just found the CRM I've been using CRM for a year. It does this and this for me. Let me introduce you to the owner, and I'll give you a link and take it from there. That's how I make my money every week. I get Zelle's coming in. I get PayPal's coming in. I get a message, hey, I'm going to send you $1,500. Because as I'm networking, I'm bringing value. People go, well, you're selling. We're all selling. I sold myself to be on your podcast, and here I am. You sold me to be a great. We're always doing that. But when you bring value before you sell, transformational, not transactional, people are more apt to work with you. When you build a relationship, I could go to people and go, I found a brand new software that you want to use. I sold 10 of them the first week. People are like, I trust you. I've known you. You've always been fair. I built that strong relationship. So they know I'm going to bring them value. Now, does it fit them? That's up to them, talking to the owner. I walk away from it, which is the way you should do it. Just do the introduction. If it's a fit, they buy the product or service. You get a piece of the pie. And I call this the Godfather win. The win, win, win. Client gets a new product. That company gets a new client, and I get paid a little piece.
You're an arbitrager. You're a connector.
Yeah, that's a great word.
Well, a couple things you said, Steve, I'd like to piggyback on. One is the idea that, comparison is it's probably the number one identity killer for everybody in every profession. When you start comparing yourself to someone else, there's always somebody better looking, somebody's got a bigger bank account, lives in a better neighborhood, drives a nicer car, has got an easier job, has a lower handicap. In golf, we could go on and on and on. I think we're supposed to run our own race. And when you run your own race, you're not really comparing to everybody else. You're not focused on everyone else. You're focused on what you're doing. You're trying to maximize your potential. You're trying to follow your passion. You're doing things that help other people and at the same time make you feel like you're living inside your purpose instead of watching it walk by.
Yeah, it's so good. And what came to mind when you were talking, saying those great words, is you could compare yourself when it comes to serving. Hey, Steve, what'd you do to serve last week? I did this, this, and this. Okay, I'm going to try to simulate the same things. That's not judging. That's following a beautiful, positive action of serving. Because it's a skill set, and like I said previously, that people need to learn. Don't judge people on the material things, but watch people, learn from people, what they're doing. And another thing I always tell entrepreneurs, if you're making, I just use this as a number, you're making $250,000, $100,000 a year. Well, anybody below that level of salary, you're always going to be mentoring for free, unless they buy your product or service, and that's good as well. So mentor below, learn above. Don't walk into a mastermind like I do. I'm not a billionaire, But I don't talk to a billionaire like I know everything. I ask, again, the questions. How'd you do this? What did you learn here? Like Tony from the 250 million. I started asking questions. He opened up like a flower. Didn't know me from Adam, but because I was kind, I built a relationship. I brought him some value. He was opening up his whole awesome resources of what he's learned. Experience is the greatest teacher.
Okay, Steve. So you talk to somebody who made 250 million. There's not even a professional athlete that I know of that's making 250 million in a year. But if you can remember, share with us 2 or 3 plays in that particular successful man's playbook.
The serving part was the big one. Well, he says a lot of people make a lot of money. You said earlier, as they grow, they stop serving. He says, Steve, when you grow and you become a millionaire, just keep serving. Don't stop. Bring value no matter what level you're at. The other thing is look in the mirror every day. I thought, Greg, this was so good. He says, look in the mirror. You made 100, I make 250 million. That's not what I make company, but I make millions. I look in the mirror and ground me. I'm still human. I'm still a creation from God. I need to keep that in mind. I'm no better than anybody else. I've just had more abundance. And the last thing he left me, Craig, which is I tell everybody now, when you make more abundance, share it with others. And it doesn't mean money. It could be like he did with me, resources and tips. Always share your abundance. So I'm super excited to be a multimillionaire because it's going to allow me to serve more people and bring more value.
And into that. Well, I think there's a lot of different ways to give. A lot of people look at tithing as giving, first fruits, 10% of their cash. But you can give of your talents. You can give of your time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can see use you as an example. A parent reaches out. They've got a college athlete that's really good. Might want to ask you a question. Hey, we've got this certain agent we're not sure about. What should we ask this agent? And now knowing you, I've just met you, but I could tell your servant's right. You're going to go, here's a couple questions to ask. Well, people will come to me and go, well, Craig should charge. No, that's a servant's heart. It maybe took them 2 minutes to craft the email or maybe a 10-minute call, whatever it may be. But those are the things as we're successful, we need to do more. I'm not saying your whole calendar should be that way, but if you can reach out to people, and maybe it's a workshop. I tell a lot of my coaching clients and entrepreneurs and very wealthy people, have a free workshop. I do a free podcast workshop every month. Spend an hour with people and answer questions and bring resources for podcasting. I also do a business mentoring class every other Monday. It's essentially free. They could pay anything they want, but I haven't been paid yet. I've done 8 classes, and I don't care. I want to bring value to people. And a quick story so people can understand no matter what level you're at. I was at a chiropractor office and talking about this class I just mentioned. This guy pops up. He's a European guy from Ukraine with this deep accent. And Andre, great guy. He goes, hey, can I ask you a question? Again, this is free. Do it. You don't go, hey, let's jump on a call. It's $50 an hour. Just bring value. So he asked me about the class. His son is hurt. He just lost his job and he's worried about it. So I said, here's my number. Have him call me. Well, 2 weeks later, he called me, told me his story. And I said, come to my class for free. Tears. He stops. He says, Steve, you give me more hope today than I've had in the last 3 months. So when you bring value and you serve, I got many stories like that. We don't know what people's shoes are in. I knew a little bit here, but I knew more once I talked to him. I changed a guy's life, his direction, with just a few words. We all can do that. And if we did, I think the world would be a much better place.
I 100% agree with that, Steve. I think one of the things that happens is when you're an entrepreneur and you work up the so-called ladder of success and you finally get to a place where you're comfortable, sometimes I think people get selfish. I think people get self-centered. I think they forget that they can make the biggest impact by helping other people, sharing their wisdom, bringing other people up. I think sometimes we see everybody as a competitor instead of a collaborator. And sometimes, I went to a conference this last weekend, met a gentleman. He perceived me as a competitor. And by the end of the weekend, we were friends because we were not competitors, even though
It's a great story. I am going to share that with people I meet because it's so true. Now, if you get it, because people will go, well, I got this competitor, he's going after my clients. That's something you cut, lead, walk away. That's completely different. When you got a competitor where you can collaborate and be collaborators, you're helping each other. And it does happen. I'm sure it's going to happen with you, that you're going to start sending guys back and forth. Hey, I can't work with them. You need to work with Craig. We just don't know when it's going to happen, but it does happen because the universe works that way.
no doubt about it. What is the difference between the super rich and the average Joe? Because everybody wants to know. And here's the thing that isn't different. They put their pants on the same way. They still need oxygen to stay alive. They might eat fancier food, but everybody's got to eat to survive, sustain themselves. What is the difference in mindset between someone that can receive abundance, unlimited, compared to the people that they're living in their past? There might be a family passed down trauma. They might have money scarcity, all these types of thinking. What is the difference between those two, and focus on the people that let the floodgates of abundance come in?
Desire and why. Very successful people have a desire, very strong desire, but more importantly, they know what it is. I talked to lots of entrepreneurs, like I mentioned previously. They don't know their why they're an insurance agent, why they're a plumber. And if their why is to get to own their own company, that's your why and passion. But very successful people have desire, and it's strong, and it's every day. But here's the thing that drives me crazy. They take action. There's a lot of indecisive people out there. Oh, Steve, I don't know if I could launch this coaching company. There's 10 million coaches out there. Well, then you don't have a strong enough desire. Because there's coaches out there making, and I work with a coach, she probably does 4 to 5 million a year. Very good money. Well, how is she doing it different than the other millions of coaches out there, business coaches? Her desire and her want. It's so strong. When I met her, it just oozes out of her. And her every day she wakes up, that's her mindset. My desire is this, and I'm looking for people to move that desire and help people. And then of course the servant's heart and building relationships. They've all have relationships. Look at the Shark Tank. They may fight, but they have a great relationship. They're doing it for 10 years. There's 4 billionaires, 5 billionaires working together, building relationships. But they give back. They're doing things to help others. So the desire and the philanthropic mindset of giving away abundance and helping people and serving.
Well, I've got a perspective on that. There's a biblical concept called you reap what you sow. But there's something missing in that statement. You reap what you sow so long as you take action. And it needs to be in alignment with God's purpose for your life. And during that process of growing between the sowing and the reaping is patience, belief, and confidence. It's persistence, it's patience, it's watering the seeds. Sometimes you have to die. Your old self has to die before you can transform into a new self. You can't do that unless you go through that change, which is the pain. And seeds put in the ground, we don't see them. We don't see them, but they die. And then we don't see them growing through the soil until they break through. The hardest part is not after they've broken through, it's to get to the breakthrough. I'm not a soil expert, but soil seems to be the hardest at the surface. Breakthroughs are the hardest right before they happen if you don't quit. So like in the NFL, it's the training camp starting here in a couple weeks. 90 guys, do the math, 53 guys get to make it. 37 guys get to go home. Some guys are going to get hurt. Some guys are going to get cut. Some guys are going to get put on the practice squad. But a lot of those 37 guys are going to quit inside their minds before the cuts. So the general managers and the head coaches don't have to really cut them because they cut themselves, because they didn't run their own race. They started looking at everybody else in the locker room, everybody else on the field, everybody else in the position room. They started counting reps instead of making the reps count. And when things, they have to take more mental reps than they take physical reps because there's just not enough reps. As they get closer to the end of training camp, they don't have first team, second team, third team. Sometimes it's just first and second, and sometimes the focus is just on the first. And if you're not on the first team, you've got to learn your job by watching instead of doing.
Love that analogy, and that fits across the board with everybody. Because, and I'm a big sports guy, I work with Ronnie a lot, and he used to tell me that all the time. Hall of Fame player. They never gave up, even when his finger was taken off. He were like, "Why are you going back next week to play?" Desire to play NFL, desire to be great, desire to help the team win. And it's exactly what you're saying. And when I had, talked to him about this, it was amazing. You can, like this coach I was saying, the desire, what he wanted to do was made him a Hall of Famer. And all those Hall of Famers, I think that's pretty synonymous across the board.
Didn't Ronnie have a finger amputated so he could play, like in the playoffs or something?
Showed me
many moons ago.
That's somebody would say that's dedication, desire at its highest level. And it probably is. But this all can relate to anybody that's listening to this. You don't have to be an NFL player. It's just people like, how do I make a decision to inaction? Well, make the decision, take the action. Hey, if it's wrong, we've all made wrong decisions. Warren Buffett's have made 40 failed companies. He's one of the richest guys in the world. I love Warren Buffett. But when I hear that and keep reminding myself of that, you're going to fail. And I fail. But guess what? I'm still here and I'm successful and I'm still serving and helping others.
Well, I want to go back to that action part again. I think one of the things you have to do to transform and to change is you have to change your habits. And sometimes you have to change your friends. And the things that hold us back are many times are bad habits and our friends that really want us to stay where we're at.
Yep. The naysayers. Why are you an NFL agent? There's all these agents. You're not smart. Why are you doing this? What do you do? I don't know what you do. Well, I know what I do, and that's the most important thing. And audience, the greatest tip that Craig just said, change your inner circle. I had to make a complete change 4 years ago with my inner circle because they were doing exactly what you're saying. And I wasn't making any money. Like, why am I doing it? Because I'm listening to the people in my inner circle that were naysayers. They were negative. Part of it probably was they were jealous because my network was growing. Eventually, his podcast is growing. And when people start judging, that's the time to start cutting the ties.
No doubt about it. Okay, so let's pretend for the sake of discussion that there's someone listening that's stuck right now. They're stuck. They're stuck in a rut. They've been struggling. They're looking for some wisdom. They're looking for just the next best step. What can you recommend to somebody that's in that situation so that they can, see the sun?
Love this question, Greg. Get better 1% every day. We start today. You listen to this podcast, and it's July. We have 4 or 5 months left in the year. You're going to be increased 100%. That's a big increase. What does that look like? That's up to you. Maybe it's read 15 minutes of a book every day. Habits. What are those habits that are going to increase you every day 1%? Don't try to get better 50% in the first week. Don't try to make $1 million in a month. Maybe you do, but just get better every day. And on top of that, bring value and do a little bit more. Like my podcast, I get it out in 48 hours. When somebody records with me, it's there. It's out in my YouTube because I want to promote them. It's fine. 5-6 weeks to podcast, video podcast. It happens. That's what the industry does. And it's not a problem. But I'm always looking at how to do a little bit more. What's another introduction I give somebody, an extra benefit? What can I do? You do that, I guarantee you're going to grow. And that's all we care about. You're making $100,000 a year today, and by the end of the year, you're making $130,000 a year. We just made an extra $30,000. You going to be happy? I'll let you answer that.
No doubt. No doubt. There's invisible killers in every industry. There's invisible killers in their minds. There's things that people don't think about that hold them back. We can't see the wind, but if you're sailing and you're going against the wind instead of with the wind, it's kind of difficult. What are the things that unsuccessful people do that successful people don't do? Because the unsuccessful people can't see it. What are the invisible obstacles that trip people up?
Social media. You're scrolling through that scroll. You don't realize that invisible killer is one time you spend an hour scrolling through what could you've done an hour to get better 1%, to bring value, to bring revenue, and then listening and judging yourself with that social media. And you're not even consciously doing it. Looking, oh, Debbie, oh my gosh, she got a new job. She's making $250,000. Why am I not making $250,000? I'm better than her. And you go through that in your mind, but it's subconscious. It's not you're consciously talking to yourself. Oh, it's the subconscious thing. Oh, look at that. Look at the car Tony's driving. Look at the house they buy. How'd they buy it? That is all going to just lower you and turn your energy down. The universe doesn't like that because you can, and you said earlier, comparing on social media, it's a killer.
I agree with that, but let me ask you this. How can you leverage or utilize social media to your advantage? What is the value of social media? I mean, everybody to some degree is on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever it might be, LinkedIn. But how can you gain value from that without it being an invisible
Mindset
killer?
should be building relationships. I build every day on LinkedIn a relationship by engaging in a post. I call it social media cocktail party. When you meet somebody at a cocktail party, you're starting to talk to them, there's a connection there. Hey, let's exchange business cards or let's exchange information. I'd like to talk to you more. That's where social media is so powerful. You can build a network with it. I even have software with LinkedIn that our company has worked with that help build your inner circle of people that you trust that other people have access to. Hey, I want to meet Craig. I think he'd be a great fit. Great, let me do an introduction for you. That's the power of the online and the wide open ability, because we could talk all over the world with social media. But when people scrolling through, I don't like it. Build relationships. Don't pitch. I get pitched on LinkedIn every day. Hey, you need more leads. Hey, your podcast, I can produce your podcast. I just had a guy do it this morning. I said, no, I'm good. I have a team already. Well, I'm better than your team. I'm like, okay, stop. You're pitching me. What the heck are you doing? I don't even know you. I'm not even going to give you $1 or $1,000 because I got to get to know you first. Well, I've done all this. I've done this and this. I could care less. You could have helped Mark Cuban build his social media empire. One, I don't know if you're telling the truth. And two, I just don't know you. So stay away from that in social media. Social media is building relationships.
Building relationships. Okay, so how could that gentleman that connected with you this morning approach you differently to have an opportunity to build a relationship
Hey,
with
Steve,
you?
love your podcast. Do you have a team you're working with right now? Or do you have any challenges with your podcast right now? No, I don't. Oh, great, Steve. I'm fantastic. But if you know anybody needs help with their podcast, I'd love an introduction. And let's jump on a call. And I don't usually do it because I'm busy. But the other thing, let's jump on a call. Let me tell you more about what I do so you can share what I do with other people. It's not pitching. It's serving and being honest. Because you know, and I know, and a lot of people are listening know, you say no and people go on. Facebook happens all the time, crypto. And, I told the guy no. He goes, well, why not? I said, because I said no. I have the opportunity. I am God's being. I can say no to you. It's okay. So that's how I would change the dialogue with that.
Yeah, I like that. If you're going to approach somebody, you need to find out if they want, need, or could benefit from your services. And if they can't, you're wasting your time and wasting their time by pushing your product or service down their throat.
The other thing we forget about too is the Kevin Costner thing. I know, say his name's Tony Smith, and he's got this certain company name. Well, somebody comes to me a month later and goes, I just met this Tony Smith. What do you think about using his company for referral? I would say I had a bad experience with them. I personally wouldn't. So when you do that stuff, you're just burning bridges over and over and over. It will come back to bite you eventually.
Reputation is all we got.
That's it.
Okay, Steve, share one pearl of wisdom that has maybe come into your world in the last couple months that's made a big impact on how you think, how you do things, that you would like to share for free to the Pro Mindset audience.
ABL, always be learning, always being looking at, always asking questions. I know we mentioned that, but I've been told that multiple times. The other thing is have energy as much as you can give. I have a lot of energy, you can see, and I always thought it was a detriment, and people love it. Now, if you're an introvert, I'm not saying to be like me, but when you're listening and asking, hey, you've been with the company 10 years. That's awesome. Why do you think you've been with them 10 years? But don't go, 10 years. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's pretty good. See the difference? Just bump up your energy a little bit. People are more willing to work with you. I mean, if a comedian walked up there and said a joke like this, and if the duck cross, you'd be like, no, you watch comedians, they're energetic. They're on fire. You could do the same thing. Remember, you don't have to be on stage all the time, but when you're on stage, act like you're on stage.
Well, I would say that when you plug into your purpose and you're passionate about what you do, your natural energy emanates. And when you don't have energy, it's a reflection that perhaps you're not living your purpose. You're not really enjoying what you're doing. You're not seeing the impact. Maybe it's not compensating you at the level you'd like to be compensated. You don't feel like you're getting what you're not getting paid what you're worth. All those types of things. And energy is the indicator, but it's like the window to the soul of the person of what's going on in their life, and are they happy? Are they joyful? And so if you don't have energy, to me, that's an indication that you might want to look at what you're doing and why you're doing what you're doing.
I love that point. It's a great way to solve it.
Yeah. Because you can have artificial energy for a little while, but you can't have sustaining energy unless you really love what you do.
It's true. It's really true.
Okay. Well, Steve, unless you have anything you would like to add, I want to thank you for being on the Pro Mindset podcast today.
You. This was great. A lot of great information from both of us. And I love a great host like that we have a conversation and somebody can pull bits and pieces out of it. And people reach out to me anytime. You can send me an email. If you have a question, reach out. I'm open. Absolutely.
Okay, Steve, where can people find you?
Find me on LinkedIn. I live there a lot. Steve Ramona, Ramona. Or my digital business card is infone.co/podcast, infone.co/podcast. Or email me, stevr1961@gmail. And you have any questions, want to talk, want to join my free podcast workshop, or join my business mentoring mentorship, reach out to me and I'll get you set up.
And they can find your podcast.
Spotify, Apple, YouTube, just search Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. All those platforms will pop up. You can subscribe or listen. The stories I have are unbelievable. It's amazing the guests that are not only educated, but motivated and inspiring. I just had a guy on Saturday that he lost his sister and mom at 3 years old, found the EMT who helped the mom and sister, who died at the crash pretty much instantly. But she said to him, I want to tell you, when I walked up to the scene, your mom was hugging your sister. And what we think has happened, because your sister died instantly, your mom didn't die instantly. She looked over and saw that she had lost her daughter and she wanted to hug her while they're going to heaven. Those are the kind of stories that, I mean, as you can tell, I remember that story. I've told 2 people already this week that story. Those are what we need to talk about. How we can be a servant's heart, how we can make a change, how we can change the world and make an impact.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. It's Craig Domann, the host of Pro Mindset Podcast. I want to thank you for listening or watching today's show. And you can catch us every week on the normal social media platforms like YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and all the listening podcast platforms. I hope you enjoyed today's show. And more importantly, I hope you gained a Pro Mindset insight. Please be sure to rate and review Pro Mindset Podcast. And I look forward to catching up with you on our next show.